Hello, I've been testing 5 new foundation releases and I'll be sharing my review and my thoughts on these foundations in today's foundation roundup. Now, I share high-end and drugstore products here on my channel, and sometimes these foundation roundups have a nice mix of all price points, but this one is more high-end and luxury because that's just how these releases fell. So I'll be letting you know if some of these high-end and luxury foundations are actually worth your money or not. You'll see how they apply, what they look like, and how they wear on me, as well as what skin types I think would benefit the most from each. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new. I test a lot of foundations, concealers, and complexion products here on my channel because I'm in my upper 40s, and as we get older, it gets harder and harder to find the right products. So let's go ahead and get into these foundations and see what I think about them and see if any of them might be right for you. Before we get started, if you're new to my channel, it's important you know my skin type and my climate because those things are very important when we're talking about complexion products. I have a combination oily skin. It's pretty normal around the perimeter and can be dry in the colder months, but I do get some shine and oil breakthrough in my T-zone. I also have very sensitive skin with rosacea, and I live in a very hot, humid climate most of the year, so I'm pretty hard on foundations. I always test foundations out multiple days using no primer and various types of primers and different application methods. The clips that you see are not the only times that I've tested these out. These just give you a good picture of my experience with each type of foundation. I am someone who does need to set my foundations with powder. You may not be, which is great, but I will show you the finish of each foundation, both without powder and with. The primers and powders that I enjoy and usually test with, along with everything I'm sharing and wearing in today's video, will be listed and linked for you in my description box, and I'll have as many products as I can linked through the YouTube shopping icons, but they don't always have everything. So if you don't see something there, check my description box where everything will be listed for you. If you're a subscriber of mine, you may be able to hear in my voice that I've been a little under the weather. I'm not quite sounding like my usual self, but I felt good enough to film, so I wanted to go ahead and do this and get it up because I've been dying to tell you about a few of these. They're really good. This first foundation is a reformulation, but I never tried the original, so it's new to me all around, and I know a lot of you have been curious about the newly reformulated MAC Studio Fix Fluid. Now, I tried this, or I gave this a first impression in my most recent trying new makeup video, but I wanted to give you my full thoughts after giving it a full go, and I need to give you a shade update because I've been rematched. So this is $44 for 1 ounce. There are 67 shades. I've been MAC NC25 or NC30 in the summer as long as I could remember, but they've kind of changed their shades a little bit. NC25 is more yellow than it used to be in their Radiant foundation. It's actually a little bit deeper too. So in that trying new makeup video, I had NC16, which is what she had matched me to in store, but she said that my skin is kind of a chameleon. I could also wear N6, and a lot of you thought NC16 looked a little bit pale, and the more I wore it, I agree with you. So I did switch it out for N6. N6 is described as a true beige with a neutral undertone for light to medium skin, whereas NC16 is light beige with a peachy undertone for light skin. So if you think you're my foundation shade match twin, if you have light, medium skin tone with neutral, leaning warm undertones, N6 is what I currently am right now before the summer hits. And I do keep a running list of my foundation and concealer shade matches over on my blog. It's also linked in my description box for you. This is fragrance free and alcohol free, and it's supposed to give a 24-hour non-cakey true color wear, and they reformulated it to give a soft matte finish and 87% skincare ingredients and a pump. And I'm going to show you the application clip from when I applied this in my trying new makeup video. This has a moderately thick, kind of slow runny texture, and it applies quickly and easily. It kind of fuses with your skin. skin. And even though it does start to set rather quickly, it's still easy to work with. It builds easily on itself and gives medium to full coverage depending on how much you build it. It smooths pores and looks natural in the process, even if you do build it. I noticed an extremely faint kind of makeup-y scent to it right in the beginning. It's almost undetectable, but I don't notice anything after I apply it at all. My skin looks nice and perfected and smooth with it, yet still natural. I'd say the finish is almost a satin finish before setting and a soft matte after setting. No matter what, this foundation stays put all day long, but how matte it stays is really primer and weather dependent for me. A couple of hours in, it always looks great. It pretty much looks the same as it did after I first applied it, but usually around 3 or 3.5 hours later, if it's very humid here, which it is pretty often, or if I'm not wearing a mattifying primer underneath, I will get some shine underneath that needs to be blotted. It's not heavy, greasy shine. It's just, you know, a little bit of a shine breakthrough. And that will continue every few hours as the day goes on, but it does not affect the way my makeup looks at all. If it's not that humid, or if I'm wearing a really good mattifying primer, I don't have that much of an issue, and I may have to blot once or twice in a really long day, which is pretty good for someone who does get some shine and oil breakthrough and lives in a humid environment. It also looks really nice on my normal dry areas. This is one of those rare soft matte long wearing foundations I think anyone with any skin type could get away with. It's very flattering. It wears really well. It's not a heavy matte foundation. I've been really enjoying this. When a foundation is as hyped as Urban Decay Face Bond, you have to wonder, is it worth the hype? Is it overhyped? What's the situation? So that's what we're going to talk about today. This is supposed to be a self-setting waterproof foundation. You're not supposed to need setting powder with it. It retails for $40 for 1 ounce. There are 40 shades. I grabbed shade 12 Light Neutral. It's cruelty-free and vegan, and there are a lot of claims with this one. So it's supposed to be lightweight and comfortable and give buildable medium coverage with a natural looking matte finish that minimizes imperfections, redness, acne scars, blemishes, and pores, and wears for up to 24 hours while being waterproof, humidity proof, and sweat proof, smudge and transfer resistant, and self-setting, no powder needed, because it's formulated with this self-setting powder to absorb sweat and sebum. It has 3% niacinamide in here to improve skin's texture and feel after 4 weeks of use. Alcohol is the 4th ingredient on the ingredient list, which didn't surprise me with this type of foundation, a quick, skin-like, self-setting, long-wearing foundation. If this isn't a foundation you're wearing every day, that might not be an issue for you, but I do like to give you that information just in case you are someone that is concerned about alcohol in your foundations or makeup. This has a thick but easy to work with texture that blends out quickly and easily. It also doesn't set too quickly, which was a bit of a concern with it being a self-setting foundation. There is a faint alcohol scent to this that I did pick up on right away, but it does dissipate. And I would say that you can sheer this out if you would like to wear it more as kind of a skin tint or build it up to that medium coverage. This feels very lightweight and has a satiny finish before setting. It didn't quite smooth my pores as much as I thought it would though, especially with it having alcohol and niacinamide in it. Usually when foundations have both of those ingredients in them, I get a really smooth, perfected, airbrush looking finish, and I didn't really get that with this. Now this could be a skin type thing. If you have dry skin or normal skin, you may not have to set this, but I do. I simply cannot get away with this kind of a satiny finish with my shine prone areas in my humid climate. So I treat this like a regular foundation and set this accordingly. After setting, this has a nice soft matte finish and everything looks nice and smooth. I feel like you can see how much of a role setting powder, the right setting powder, can play in smoothing pores after setting this foundation. I don't get a lot of oil breakthrough during the day, and the coverage stays decent for about 7 or 8 hours before it starts getting patchy and kind of wearing away in certain areas. But every time I wore this without primer or with any type of primer, it seemed to exaggerate every single pore all over my face by the end of the day. And I wouldn't even describe my largest pores as being large. It was really strange. I don't know why this does that. I've seen this work well for others that have less mature skin and less texture. I had high hopes for this. I hoped this was going to be a replacement for my beloved Bobbi Brown skin tint that was discontinued that I've heard is possibly coming back, reformulated of course, so who knows what that's going to be like. But this didn't work well for me, unfortunately. It may if you have smoother, younger skin. Okay, we have our first luxury foundation, Christian Louboutin. I will probably butcher the rest of this. Teint Fétiche Les Fluides foundation. This retails for $77 for 1 ounce. There are 30 shades. I grabbed shade 20 Dune Nude. We need to take a brief moment and admire the beautiful bottle. They even popped a bit of that Louboutin red in the lid for a final touch. They claim this gives up to 24 hours of comfortable, non-drying, transfer-proof wear with a luminous matte finish. They also say it gives breathable, high coverage and minimizes the look of your pores, smooths and softens your complexion, and leaves your skin feeling moisturized. It's a vegan, alcohol-free formula with a skincare complex called Dermaglam that's supposed to actively care for your skin while you wear it. This has a somewhat thick texture that starts to fuse and become one with your skin as you apply it. So it almost seems like it's going to set too quickly and not give you enough time to really work with it, but it does. I do prefer to use a damp sponge with this, and that's actually what I would recommend because I really feel like you get that maximum fusing action from the foundation that way. There is a very, very faint, pleasant, sweet kind of powdery scent that I notice right away, and fragrance is listed about halfway down the ingredient list, which is only an issue if you're sensitive to the particular fragrance that is in here, but I do like to point that out, and I don't notice it after it's applied to my face, but it is very pleasant to me anyway. This gives medium to a pretty much full coverage that looks like skin and gives a soft satin finish before setting. It smooths and blurs my skin beautifully, and after my makeup is done and everything is set, it's matte but natural and beautiful. It doesn't look heavy or flat. As I wear this and my oils start to, settle in and mix with the foundation throughout the day, I get a soft glow, but I don't look oily or greasy even at the end of the day. I just have a soft glow. This does wear beautifully all day long, even on a really long day. One of my favorite combinations lately has been mixing this with Estee Lauder Double Wear because they're both really long wearing and look natural. This has more of a skin-like quality to it, but it helps Estee Lauder Double Wear stay a little bit more matte in my shine-prone areas. I've just really been loving that combination. Now, I did have a day where I had some dry areas because I had a rosacea flare-up, and sometimes when I treat my rosacea, those areas can be a little dry, and I did not love it on those areas. So if you have dry skin, I'm not sure if this is going to be the foundation for you, but for all of you with normal to oily skin, I've really been loving this. This is a luxury foundation that I can get behind. This is one that will be worn a lot. This is being added to my rotation. Yes. It Cosmetics just launched the new Your Skin But Better CC Plus Natural Matte, let me continue reading the name, color correcting, pore refining, full coverage cream plus skin balancing serum plus broad spectrum SPF 40. Now this may look familiar to you because the packaging is almost identical to the previous version of this, which was their CC Plus oil free. So this is a replacement of that. This retails for $47 for 1.08 ounce. There are 30 shades versus 12 shades in that old version. Now because I wear light medium most of the year in the regular CC cream and medium in the summer, those are the 2 shades that I got. But I noticed right away that medium appeared lighter than light medium. So I got out my It's CC Cream and Nude Glow. And I have the two mediums on the left side of your screen, and I have all of the light mediums on the right, wet, and then I thin them down a little bit so they would dry down easier. The light medium in the Natural Matte CC Cream is the clear eyeball here in depth and tone. It appears more medium to me. I suppose the Nude Glow does too, but it's sort of a thinner, more sheer tint of a formula. Now, medium is deeper than light medium in the regular CC cream, but that's the option I have. So that's what I went with. That's what I've been testing with, and I just bronze up my neck and make it work. It'll probably work for me in the dead of the summer. This is cruelty-free, alcohol-free, fragrance-free, and vegan, and it's supposed to give 16-hour wear versus 12 with the old formula and give full matte coverage. Now, a big change here is that the old formula had a physical sunscreen only, which is great for those of you sensitive skin girls like me. I want to say it was only titanium dioxide. This one is a combination of chemical and physical sunscreen. They say to give more shades without the white cast. So the sunscreen combination is titanium dioxide for the physical, and octisalate, which can be a pore clogger for some people, and insulazole, I think is how you say that. Now, this is one of those sunscreens that's not extremely common. It's approved in the US in concentrations less than 4%. This is supposed to be sweat proof and humidity proof. It's clinically proven to give 16-hour shine control. It's also got a built-in primer and a skin balancing serum to create a soft matte or cloud skin makeup effect with just one product. It does contain niacinamide, hyaluronic acid, and lentil seed extract to help minimize the look of pores. The old version had charcoal in it to help absorb skin impurities. So they made quite a few changes here. This has a thick texture that blends out easily and gives you time to work with it. I don't notice any scent at all, and I'm able to get medium full to pretty much full coverage even with a damp sponge. This smooths my skin nicely. It feels lightweight and hydrating, and the finish is pretty satiny before setting. After my makeup is finished and everything is set, it gives a soft matte perfected finish. Now, I think the check-in that I got for you was around 6 hours later. I don't know what I did that day, but it was kind of overcast and late in the day when I got this check-in, and the coverage was still very much there, but you can see I do get some shine with this, and I had a new little bump there that wasn't there earlier that day. I liked but didn't love the previous version of this. It kept me pretty shine free throughout the day, but I remember feeling dry towards the end of the day. I don't have that issue with this one, but the trade-off for me is that I do get some shine breakthrough more frequently during the day, especially on days with high heat and humidity, which we have a lot of here. But I also get some little bumps with this. I notice that every time I wear it, by the end of the day, I get little reactive bumps, which happens to me many times when I use products with certain chemical sunscreens. I really wish that they would have left this with just the mineral sunscreen. There are a lot of us that are sensitive to chemical sunscreens and a lot of people that just don't want to use chemical sunscreens, and I do get shinier with this in general anyway. I would say that if you have normal or dry skin, this would probably work better for you, which is kind of weird since it's a matte formula, but if you have normal or dry skin, you'd be better off with the regular CC cream or the illuminating version anyway. So maybe combination skin with less humidity than I have, and if you're not sensitive to chemical sunscreen. A lot of It Cosmetics products work really well for me, but unfortunately this change was not a great one for me. I've never tried any Sisley products before until this new foundation release that I had quite a few requests to test out. I had a little bit of sticker shock when I pulled the trigger on this foundation. This is the most expensive foundation I have ever bought. This is their new release, the Phyto Tint Perfection Foundation. It retails for $125 for 1 ounce. There are 29 shades. I grabbed a shade 2-in-1 Sand. It is alcohol-free, and this is a skincare makeup hybrid foundation that's supposed to give a naturally radiant, mattifying, medium to high coverage for any skin type. It's supposed to be ultra long lasting and really look like skin, be undetectable, and blur and smooth and kind of illuminate your skin and hydrate. This has a moderately thick texture that also fuses to your skin and starts to set rather quickly, but it doesn't set so quickly that you can't blend it out easily. It's easy to work with. The footage that you're seeing is from the first time I used it, the first time I ever tried it, and I remember being shocked and impressed with the natural, smooth, skin-like coverage that I was getting from such a small amount of product. I also notice a very faint, pleasant, kind of expensive scent to this too, kind of a floral scent. Fragrance is listed towards the bottom fourth of their ingredient list, so it's pretty far down there. I'd say this is buildable from medium to full coverage. A little goes a long way, so at least if you're spending this kind of money, you get a lot for your money. It looks very natural and smooth and kind of dewy before setting, and after my makeup is complete, it gives a soft, natural, radiant matte finish. You can see some natural glow coming through. It's not fully matte or even semi-matte, but it's not full-on satin either. It's somewhere in between, and it looks really natural. This wears impeccably. The coverage and smoothness stay all day long. I do get some shine that comes through on days when I'm not wearing a primer, but it never settles into my pores or lines. It doesn't affect the way my makeup looks. With a good primer, it does stay shine-free much longer. I think if you're someone who likes to see your natural radiance come through and you still want some coverage, you are going to love this. If you have mature skin, normal, dry skin, combination skin, I'm not sure if you have a very oily skin, if this is going to be the foundation for you. I sort of feel like this is the opposite of the Louboutin foundation we talked about earlier. We have two very high-end luxury foundations that are both extremely beautiful, natural, and skin-like and give great natural skin-like coverage that wear really well and give beautiful but different finishes. So as with most of my foundation reviews, my foundation roundups, we had some hits and misses in this video, but the hits were really good. Sometimes that doesn't happen. I need some drugstore brands to release some new foundations so I can have more in these foundation roundups. Sometimes it just doesn't happen that way. I'm already working on my next roundup though, which includes the new Natasha Denona powder foundation. So be sure you're subscribed and have that notification bell hit to be notified of all uploads so you don't miss it or any of my upcoming videos. And if you want to see how to quickly smooth your pores and give a soft filtered finish to your makeup in one quick step, be sure and check out this video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.